Hello, everyone. Welcome in. I'll wait just a few minutes so that everyone can get past that initial advertisement. I think it takes a minute. I will say I have my pup here and he gets to be a little demanding at times. So if you hear little scratching or scuffs or barks, it would be my little sidekick here. I hope everybody's doing okay. It's been absolutely forever since I've been able to do a live. So I'm really excited to share this with you guys. I'll wait just a few more moments. I don't want to wait too long because I don't like to have the long pauses. But before I click over, hey guys, welcome in. I do appreciate you being here. It's been absolutely, like I said earlier, forever since I've been able to do a live or even put out a video. If you can hear me, will you just either give me a thumbs up, a heart, or let me know something about the sound, just because this is a new laptop. So I'm trying to figure out and make sure that it is all working effectively. Let's see. Trying to see if I can follow. There we go. All right. It won't be much longer. There we go. All right. Perfect. Hello, Erin. Welcome in. There we go. There's a little bit of a delay with the chat coming up in the program. So I'm going to be watching the chat on my phone just so that there's not much of a delay and I can make sure I try to answer your questions if you have any. So without further ado, I do want to jump right into this. And I just want to kind of give you a little bit of update as far as the channel, what's been going on, why all the delays, all the things. I was really finishing out the remainder of 2024 working. I worked, good grief, quite a bit of hours. And so I wasn't really able to be creative. And while I've still been working on content behind the scenes, actually publishing it, putting it out there, and being able to connect with you guys as much as I wanted to, kind of had to take a back burner. But it was all because I knew I had a trip to Colorado that was coming up. And I wanted to make sure that I made the most out of my time while I was in Colorado, because while I went out there it was my 40th birthday trip for myself, and just something that I wanted to start for myself, which was taking a solo trips. And so my first place, of course, was Colorado. It had to have been. And I'm really excited to share with you all the things that I noticed, that I observed. And wow, just being there, it was the same as like with North Carolina. The perception and perspective on things changes so much when you're there and you remove all of the emotion, which we talk about a lot on this channel. So the Colorado trip it was a lot of fun. It was planned. That's why all the working ahead of time had to happen. And then lo and behold, I didn't know why in the world I was feeling sick, not feeling really well. So short little story time, I went to the hospital, actually, went to the emergency room before the trip to Colorado. And the doctor checked me over, did lab work and everything. The CT scan was showing like some abnormalities. But he was looking at my lab work and he said, your lab work's normal, like it was within normal ranges. And so he just kind of went back and forth, that doctor did, on whether he wanted to admit me if there was going to be any further concern or anything like that. So he ultimately made the decision that he gave me antibiotics so that I could go on my trip to Colorado and I wouldn't miss it. So I did, and I felt fine for the majority of my time in Colorado. I didn't actually start getting sick again until I got home. And it was like that very first night, whenever I got home, it was just like tenfold, got sick again. And my sister and I talked about it, and she's a nurse practitioner. And, myself being a nurse, like we're the worst patients, period. But I'd had some concerns, especially following the accident where I hit. But it was awful. I swerved and missed one baby cub, and two other bears ran out. Yes, black bears ran out into my car. And this was back at the beginning of December, I believe, or like mid-December. And so anyway, it's been a crazy couple, like 6 weeks or so. And so my sister and I were talking, and it was just like, maybe it was something that resulted from the accident that I really didn't know what was going on, whatever. So I went back to the other hospital who actually has more extensive surgeons and professionals there. And come to find out, my breast implant had ruptured, and it had apparently absorbed all of the infectious like fluid and whatnot. So not to be TMI, but I do think this is important because it's important to be an advocate for yourself, especially if you just know something's not right. Because like I said, my blood work was normal. Everything was in normal ranges. And so I took my CT results with me to the other physician. And literally, guys, within 2 hours, I was in surgery. And come to find out, the infection was so bad that the doctor was like, he was nervous that I was going to have additional surgeries. But thank God I appear to be responding well to the medications. They kept me in the hospital for like a week, or not a week, but like 4 days. Felt like forever. And so I'm home now, and this is actually like the first day where I've been able to, pull my book and my laptop out and really just start digging into reflecting back on that Colorado trip and trying to put something together for you guys. So I'm really excited about the live tonight. I do have some information that I want to share with you, but I really just wanted to give you guys an update, let you know, thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the comments and the messages where you guys have been reaching out, even if it's on Facebook or YouTube, to just check on me and make sure that, I was healing and doing better. I am on the mend. I have a couple more appointments to follow up with, but Lord willing, the worst part is behind me. And I didn't want to go into all of it tonight, so maybe some other time I'll share my testimony about this, but it's absolutely amazing how 2025 is kicked off. Like, it sounds like it was a brutal start, but it has been the biggest blessing in so many ways. So with that, that's kind of a little backstory with where I've been, what's been going on. And so I put together a little presentation, and I'm going to walk you through it. And I blurred out the vehicle in the driveway because this is me parked on the public highway. I didn't even get on the sidewalk, which the sidewalk is public. And I do have other additional pictures. This is the Watts home at 2825 Saratoga Trail, or the former Watts home, I should say. And man, being there in person is so different. So different. Guys, the angles we have seen this house photographed is just not reality. It's simply not. It's not this ginormous house. It does not. The only thing that makes this home stand out like a sore thumb now is the white. Now, it's a beautiful home. It looks good. Driving through the neighborhood, I mean, it's balanced. It does look good. But I can tell you, through the whole neighborhood, the majority of that neighborhood are browns and taupes and tans and grays, or like blues. The color coordination and patterns through that entire neighborhood this is the only house that has white on it. The only house. in the neighborhood that has white on it like this. So I have a video coming out that I will go into deeper detail, especially with when it comes to the house, the community, the neighborhood. I'll share with you the other photos that I took while I was there, and I did some audio recordings while I was there. I will say, and I'll go ahead and mention it in this live, is the only thing, full transparency, nothing about this home was heavy. Nothing about this home felt, I don't know, nothing about the house felt compelling. And honestly, seeing the 3 vehicles in the driveway where this other family and this is the new owners, not the Millers. This is a different set of owners. Just looking at what they've done, like with how they've decorated with the little, you see the flower pots and whatnot here. And they do have a little sign up here that says private property, but absolutely nothing about this house makes you pause or stop. And I've known about this case from shortly after it happened. I didn't start looking down the rabbit holes of YouTube until about a year after. But around this time, I remember when this happened. And so I feel like I've been pretty invested. I mean, I've gone to North Carolina. I've done a lot of behind the scenes, like research and whatnot. I can tell driving up to this house, there was nothing that, I don't know. There were no spidey senses going off, if you will. It's much smaller in person than what others have made it appear. And it makes you think, and I'll talk more about it, but you have to think about the angles to which body cameras record things. They're not actually recording through their lens exactly what's in front. Like there's a distorted view, and I'll look up the terms and whatnot when I make the video, but it catches things at a different angle, much like a realtor will go in and take professional photos to list your house. If I were to walk in there and just take like a picture, like this is me standing on the ground, taking a straight on shot, like as I'm seeing it, this is not an angled shot. This is not a professionally trying to make it look bigger and larger than life. This is just an average person on the ground seeing the house in person. And I can tell you the distance from the door to the garage door is not as far as you think. It's nowhere near what it is perceived to be on the body cam footage. This little patch of grass right here is super small, super small. And I even sent this to ATS, Amber over at ATS News, because I know early in the investigations when we were having conversations about things, the question was always, was there another vehicle parked here in the gravel? And I don't know if you can tell, but even in being there in person, I could have laid down and touched both ends of this. And I'm only 5'7". And I would have been able to reach both sides of this. There's no vehicle would have been able to park here and it not get picked up by the door camera, and no vehicle would have parked here and not stood out like a sore thumb. And it just goes back into how this community is built, even with the trees, even with the early morning light, if you will. There's no way that a vehicle here in this gravel would have even remotely been unnoticed the whole time. So that was just something that stood out to me, like from the years of discussing the case. I know some of the questions people have had. And so moving on, because I don't want to stay on this one too much, but I did want to share with you that the house that's where I was going with it. The only thing that stood out to me that gave me like, it's really random, but I drove around to the back end of the house, and I will tell you, I don't know what it was. I didn't drive. Like, I really went into this trip with no expectation. Very much the same way that I went into the North Carolina trip. That's how I approached going into Frederick and the locations, etc. I didn't go in with a preconceived, like, oh, it's going to be so like haunted and all of this stuff. I didn't go in there with that. It was just like, oh, this is a community. Let me drive through it. I mean, these are real people that live here. And there were 2 gut punch moments in Colorado, and they were completely unexpected, and they were completely, one makes sense and the other one did not. But the one that made sense was my speculation about something occurring at the back of the house, not necessarily in the house, but at the back of the house. And I can tell you that whenever I drove around the back, it's so different back there because that whole community behind them is now completed. It's built up. I can tell you, driving back there, that was the moment that I got my first like just emotional gut punch. Like something just hit me and it was like, whoa, like something just didn't sit right with the back of the house. And other than that, I can honestly say my objective opinion of being there in person and seeing it, the only thing that makes that house stand out is the white that they applied to the house, because had it been a brown house, it would have just been another house in the neighborhood. Nothing major there. So moving on, I wanted to discuss and go over a couple of little pit stops that I stopped at. These were just a couple, and I'll go through some more. And then, of course, with the videos that I put together with each of these locations, I'll go further into detail. But King Soopers, this very specific location, was one that Shanian tagged herself in and posted being there. We know about Frederick Police Department. One of the Lazy Dogs was at the Orchard, and I'm going to have to dig into this a little bit more, but I do know that the Orchard was frequented quite a bit by Shanian. And this is a Costco. This picture will come back in a video. It is extremely, man, this was one of those surreal moments for sure. Estes Park was absolutely beautiful. I'll go into more details about that, my experience there, and the exclusive interview that I will talk to you a little bit more about towards the end of this little slideshow. I was able to get an interview while I was out in Colorado, and I found it to be very, very telling. And I think it backs up my theory with the Orchard and the Lazy Dog that's there. Oh, before I skip over it, this 24 Karat Bistro, this was the bistro that was found in the search history of Chris Watts. He was looking at 24 Karat Bistro as a location for him and Kessinger to go on a date. So I thought that was interesting, and the location of it was rather interesting. So these are just some check-in locations. On Facebook, we can see that Shanian checked into several different locations. Of course, I flew into Denver International, the King Soopers, the Village Inn, where she would take Bella and go get brunch or lunch. I definitely checked in there, went to see that. Polished Nail Salon in Thornton, Colorado. Absolutely amazing experience there. And we'll go into that one. That's going to be a video on its own with permission. Frederick Post Office, which I thought was really interesting because, of course, Shenan would go and do all of her mailing of Thrive products and whatnot between Frederick and the post office, I believe, at Erie was the other one that she would use. The Target at Westminster, actually went there for a visit. I did see the girls' school at Primrose, which I thought was interesting. Abbo's Pizza, she really took time to get to know her neighborhood and neighboring communities, because Abbo's Pizza is one of those little hole in the wall places, but it was one of her favorites. South Pearl Street in Denver, Flatiron Crossing, I spent quite a bit of time there in Broomfield. And this I thought was really sweet, and it was really interesting this was the very first photo that I took when I was in Frederick, Colorado. And I don't know if you can see it as pronounced now. It was just one of those things, one of those moments where my immediate observation is what I went with. And to me, this cloud right here, let me see, where's my cursor? This cloud right here, the longer I looked at it, and even just from first glance, appeared to be in the shape of a heart. And I just thought that was really sweet because, I don't know, really sweet, really random. But again, it was just my first picture that I took when I crossed over into Frederick. And then Sky High in Colorado. So as the plane was flying over Colorado and we're getting ready to descend down to Denver International, I couldn't help but remember the song, When I Taste Tequila, that you can hear it on the radio in the police officer's car when Chris is being driven to his first night in jail following his initial confession. And this picture here of the sunset, this was actually my first Colorado sunset. I saw it from Frederick, Colorado. And if you look closely, you can see some homes kind of here in front of what looks like the pilings back here. And this would be seen from Shenan's back porch area. And it was just beautiful to watch. And I did like a time lapse video of it. And man, the sunsets out there are absolutely beautiful. And I couldn't help but notice, like, as I was doing the edits and whatnot, and I was looking through my camera roll, it's like in the shape of a J. And we're always talking about justice on this channel. And we're talking about justice for this case. What really has just pulled everybody into it, why we dig deeper and have all the questions that we have. Everybody just wants to make sure that true justice was served. And that was just, again, these are pictures that I took, and then as I'm going through them, certain things are just standing out more. So I guess I didn't edit this very well, but this was just a picture of me on the airplane. It was wheels up, and then manicures for mom. As I mentioned, this was my birthday trip, and there's a story behind why I chose this nail pattern and color. It was something different for me. I typically just get like gel polish on my regular nails. I don't typically do acrylics, but this was a special one. And I went and visited downtown Denver, literally on my way back to the airport to leave, and didn't get to spend a whole lot of time there, but that's okay. I don't feel like I missed too much, at least not for this trip. And so here I have a tentative content schedule. This was something I wanted to share with you guys, especially those of you that have been here from the beginning. This is something I've been really working hard to put together, just so that I'm constantly connecting with you, but I'm also able to start putting more content out. And now that I'm not going to have to be working as much overtime and whatnot, it's gonna open up the opportunity to really start to put a content schedule together. So of course I've got the word tentative up there. If anything changes, I will definitely let you guys know in the post section. But I'm going to introduce to you really quickly via a short little snippet video. It's only about a minute long, and just explaining to you what car ride conversations are. Okay, so here we go. As many of you know, this is where a lot of my topics and ideas for videos typically kind of come into focus for me, is when I'm having to make some of these long drives down the interstate. And typically I do them in a voice memo, and then that will then become part of the narration for whichever video it is that I end up creating. And as we're rounding out the end of 2024, I've been thinking a little bit more about what are some ways that obviously would improve the channel, allow me to publish more consistently, but not necessarily be as primarily not having such long periods of time in between videos, because it's not a matter of not having the ideas or the topics. It's, I really like for the videos to come together because it's truly something that it's a creative outlet where I'm very passionate about what I'm trying to get out there, but at the same time, making sure that everything is quality. And I know I talk about that, or did talk about that in previous videos. So anyway, with that, these car ride conversations are, I think, a way that I'm going to share some things and thoughts and topics with you. And it just may not be in as highly edited type of video. So basically, I'm really excited about these because I feel like it's going to give me the opportunity to really get some of the thoughts and the subjects that I really would love to discuss more, whether that be in comments or lives, or just maybe doing like a collaborative live where we discuss all of the car ride conversations, because there's so much to discuss and to talk about, not just with this case, because man, am I stumbling across, I've been in this bed for recovery from surgery for a few days now, and I've watched way too much TV. And man, I've got some new cases coming up that I really want to talk about. One with another name of Kessinger out of North Carolina coming into play August of 2018. Could not believe it. Almost fell out of bed. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. And then every other Monday, I would like to present to you a new case. Now, whether that's just like a 30-minute to an hour video about another case and how we may discuss similar topics, etc. I just feel like there's other cases that need some attention, because while the Watts case really brought everybody in, the alarming concern is that it's being overgeneralized. And I feel like the DA did it in this case, and I feel like society does it in the comment section when they're trying to blast each other back and forth over differing opinions. And these are all things that we need to be able to have objective conversations about, learn from, grow, and get better. And then Tuesdays, I want to be able to focus just being in that comment section. I'm still getting many comments on even like the original videos I first put out. And I try to keep up with them, but there's thousands. And I'm so thankful for them. And I'm excited to get to them. But I definitely needed to set aside a day where I can be communicating with you guys in the comments, answering your questions, because many of you leave thoughtful, heartfelt, really objective questions and comments, and you share your opinions. And if you're going through the time and effort to put those into the comments, I definitely want to make sure that I am communicating with you and conversing with you. Wednesdays, I think we're going to try to have a live on Wednesday nights. I know I have to drop my son off at church, and maybe we just dedicate an hour at that point to have live discussions. Thursdays I'm going to take for like work days and edit days. Same with Saturdays. And then Fridays will definitely have a Watts episode. And I think that's going to be a great day to post a video, but also I'm typically driving on Fridays and Sundays quite a bit. And so that always stems and opens up more content and more subject matter. So moving on. Forgive my dog, who apparently is thirsty.
As many of you know, this.
And so that is going to do it for tonight's live. I know there's just a few of you in chat, but do any of you have any questions or any thoughts about the house or the locations? I did want to tell you the upcoming content as far as cases and whatnot that I'm looking at is definitely the Alyssa Burkett. That case is out of 2020. The Dan Markel case is still ongoing in Tallahassee. And Angel and Milton Sawyer out of North Carolina. That is a case from 2018. If you have not watched it, you probably want to check that out. That is going to open up many, many, many conversations, especially given the North Carolina tie, especially given the August 2018 dates, as well as the last name Kessinger. Yes, you heard me right. It is another case, August of 2018, with the last name Kessinger involved, out of North Carolina. And definitely don't want to gatekeep this one, but I was able to land an interview in Colorado, and her name was Sammy, and I'm very appreciative to Sammy, and I really got to spend about an hour and a half with Sammy, and I will be sharing with you that experience, that interview, that conversation I had with her. And this is somebody that you're not going to find in the discovery. You're not going to find. Law enforcement never showed up to talk to her and to them. And this is someone who really opened my eyes to the amount of connection that Shanann had, not only in Frederick, but in Thornton, as well as Broomfield and the neighboring communities. It really, really opened my eyes to Colorado is very stretched out. The towns are not necessarily, it's not like you live in a city and you just bebop from, town to town to town. And I learned that. I posted in the post about it, that location is everything, and it is so everything. And I never wanted to know as much about those Starbucks cups in that dang trash can as I have now that I've been to Colorado. That was probably the number one most overlooked piece of evidence in this entire case, is who brought the Starbucks cups in there. What were the dates on them? And what's the name on them? And it does matter, guys, because proximity was everything in Colorado. That was something that was eye-opening for me, being there, being on, in the communities, and especially having that interview. I really believe I now know why that lazy dog decision got changed at the last minute and they went to a different lazy dog. I don't think it necessarily had anything to do with the menus. And the interview that I was able to have and land with Sammy really highlighted that, because Sammy is in a different town. She's not in Frederick, but she's in a community that Shanann frequented very often, including with the girls and kids and shopping and things like that. So it really opened my eyes to Shania's decision making while she lived in Frederick, like where she went grocery shopping, why she may have chosen to go certain places instead of others. And I will say, I think people underestimate, whether you agree with MLMs or not, I think many people underestimate the amount of work that Shania actually put into Thrive and building that up. Again, I'm not like a supporter of MLMs, but if my friend's trying to sell something to make a little money for themselves, whether it's an MLM or a personal business, a small business, like I'm going to support small businesses as much as possible. But I can tell you, by being there, traveling to these locations, I have a tribute video coming out for Bella, specific to Bella. Man, just, I'm so excited to share it all with you. And I don't want to prolong this live, but I just really want to say, number one, leave that house alone. Like, I know that people need to be more worried about other things in this case other than that house. But with respect to everyone's questions and interest, I will tell you the angles that we have seen that house have been extremely misleading. And there is nothing about that house at Saratoga Trail that stands out like a sore thumb, other than the fact that they chose to paint the house white. That's the biggest thing that stands out in that entire neighborhood. I definitely have more information coming about the community and the house and things like that. And I have the interview coming that I'll be sharing that with you. As well as, I know I mentioned the DA just got sworn in for his last term. So apparently Rourke, as people would say, will be there for one last term. And I definitely would like to hear your thoughts and comments on what you think about the photos and even the video that they just published up on their website about him. And so, yeah, so those are the things that are coming. Those are the things that will be published very soon on this channel. And I'm really excited for it. The channel is going to be making sure that we're not only talking about cases, but we are hard hitting on the areas that are just important for us to pay attention to in our everyday lives, not only so we can be better humans, but so we can be better friends, better spouses, better siblings, and just take a step back from that emotionally driven need to immediately comment back on a social media post or immediately make an opinion. Think about what you're saying and think about why you feel the way that you do, because man, it's everywhere. And yet it's in calm, quiet, peaceful little towns where, quote unquote, things like that don't happen here. And the truth is, they're happening in 1 in every 3 households in every single community. And I think that's really important for us to remain open to discussing. So I do want to just say hello. I saw Erin come in early today or this evening. Sarah, welcome in. Melly Mel, hey hon. And Lisa, thank you for the little heart. Let's see. I'm so excited I got to take this trip, guys. I've been waiting to take this trip for a long time. Colorado's always been on my bucket list of places to go and visit. One day when I write a book, you guys will be able to enjoy the personal story and attachment to Colorado that I have, but has nothing to do with the case or anything like that. But I always wanted to go, and I had places in a short time limit of where I was going to go and how I was going to, I wanted it to be a vacation, so I didn't want to feel like I was working the whole entire time. but I did accomplish a lot and I did get to see a lot. So I'm definitely looking forward to sharing that with you. And yes, Sarah, looking forward to hearing the rest. I look forward to sharing it with you guys because it really, really changed just my perspective of what Colorado life was like in those little communities, in those areas. And it still raised more questions than anything regarding Kessinger. And that's probably the hardest part, is you want so desperately for things, at least to me, like if she's innocent, I really would like to see Kessinger be able to walk out and about and among other people freely. And I'm sure she does it, because one thing I will say is she blends right in with the people that are there, depending on what part of Colorado you're in. So the chances of someone finding her, noticing her, unless they're close to her and know exactly what was going on with the case at that time, it's not. She's not in Colorado standing out like a sore thumb. I'll tell you that. But to be fair, if she's genuinely innocent, did nothing, I really just wish that law enforcement would answer the questions that we raise regarding where she was, what was her alibi, why didn't she clock in that day, why did she ping off the phone? And I don't care who says what about proximity, location, and cell phone towers. I can tell you, based off of where she lived and where she had to go to work, there was zero reasons why she would be bouncing off of that cell phone tower that morning, or any morning that she would go to work, because she would never go that way. And so when you're out there and you're actually driving the roads, you pay attention to the distance, and you pay attention to the cell phone towers when you see them. And so, yes, so there's all kinds of things. I'm excited to share it with you, but I wanted to connect with you guys at least on a live and just say hello, let you know I'm here. I haven't forgot about the channel. And this recent emergency surgery really, it got my attention, because I knew that I did not feel well. I did not realize how severe it was. And I'm very, very thankful and blessed to be alive and still be here. So thank you again for the prayers, for the support. Thanks for sharing the videos and the super chats that come through. It truly does help. Especially in moments when, like, I can't, I couldn't go to my regular job. And that's, I'm really looking forward to, in 2025, being able to be more active and go live and share with you all the things that I picked up while I was in Colorado, the people I talked to, things like that. And, especially highlight quite a few other cases and show you the similarities. And I may have to post a poll. I'm not sure if I want to do the Alyssa Burkett one first, if I want to do the Angela Milton Sawyer one first. I do need to touch back on Adelson, because that trial is getting ready to come up, and I have footage of that I need to get edited and put out. So all kinds of new stuff coming. And also just trying to stream it in such a way that you can look forward to coming and having a live on Wednesdays or catching a video on Fridays. So you guys hang in there with me. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here tonight. And if you don't mind giving the live a thumbs up and sharing it for any of those who they haven't seen a post from this channel in a while, so it would just be like, hey, we're here. And again, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you can think of that you would like to ask me about the Colorado trip, drop it in the comments so that way I can make notes for myself. And then as I'm creating these videos, if any of those questions can be directly answered, I will definitely answer that question in one of the videos. So just drop that question, or if you have some insight to the area you want to share with me, drop it all in the comment section, and I will definitely be making notes regarding upcoming content. Okay? So thank you guys for being here, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I'm saying evening, it's 10:45 p.m. here, and I will see you guys next time.